Okay, so today I wanted to discuss a little bit about the Catholic Mass and why it's important, and why it's also important that you understand this. And there's really two parts to it. One is a more secular, practical part to it, if you like, which most nominal Catholics dimly are aware of. But you have to keep in mind that we're only talking about the proper Mass, which is the Latin Mass, the Tridentine Mass, and that was in effect for over 1,500 years. More than that. It was in effect basically for 1,900 and something years before it got corrupted by Vatican II completely, and what followed. But the practical importance of it is simply the fact that the same Mass is done all over the world at on the same day by people all around the world, regardless of the language of the nation in which it happens. The Mass is usually always done in Latin, and that is the proper Mass. And if you're a Catholic, you should be able to follow the Catholic Mass eventually in Latin. If at first you don't know a single word of Latin, that's fine. But you can go online. It's easy. It's not difficult. You can go online and find how to do the Ave Maria in Latin, how to do the Pater Noster in Latin. That's Hail Mary and Our Father, and the other prayers, and so on. So why is it important to do it in Latin? Well, first of all, because that's what happened for 1,900 years, and second, it's a unifying thing. Now, you can only get so far on the secular aspect of it, on the we're all doing the same thing, kind of at the same time in different countries on the same day. So I know, for example, that Nameless Bear on Sunday is going to Holy Mass and Holy Communion, and he's going to hear the same Mass that I hear, when I go to it. Now, for those of you that are interested, this is a very good little book. It took me a while to get, actually, because apparently the first one got lost in expedition. So it's called How to Serve Low Mass and Benediction, and it's by Reverend William A. O'Brien. And it's just a nice little booklet that tells you what happens and so on. And this particular version also came with sort of a handy little cheat sheet, if you like, for Latin pronunciation, which is useful if you don't speak any Latin or if you've never heard it before and so on. There's also some useful diagrams, so it explains what is what and where the people stand and so on. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know the details of it, but again, it's got very useful little diagrams with you can see the numbers on there, hopefully, and the numbers then are explained, what is what, where you have to stand, why, and so on. I hope it explains the why as well, because one thing about the Catholic Latin Mass is everything has a purpose. Everything in it has a reason for existing, and it's very interesting. There are little kids, like at our Mass, there's one of the servers is usually a little kid. He's probably 7, 8, maybe 9 years old tops, but I think he's around 7 or 8, and he does it perfectly, and I'm 50, and I still don't exactly know where everything goes and why and so on, but that little kid does. So it's on me to learn that stuff. That's why I got the little book, and if you're interested in that sort of thing, it's okay for you to do so. But the really important part of the Mass, which I really want you guys to experience for yourself, is, if you're not baptized, you're not Catholic, or you're a nominal Catholic, I would suggest find yourself a Latin Mass. Even if it means that you have to take a day to get there, just do it once. Just go and look, observe a Latin Mass. If you're not baptized, you're not Catholic, you can't take the host, but I went to several Latin Masses before I could ever take the host, because I wasn't baptized, but I still went and sat in the back and just looked and listened. And now here's the thing, something happens. Something happens when you go to a Latin Mass. I can't explain it. It's not... I wouldn't have believed that. You know, when I first started to get interested in the stuff and started to research and so on, I first went to a Novus Orco Mass, because that was the church that was near where I was staying. You know, I was in Venice at the time for work, and it was a really nice old church behind where I was staying, which is 1,200 years old. Recorded 1,200 years old. It was built before that, but they lost the records because they had, you know, some wars and fires and so on. But it was definitely at least 1,200 years old in a piazza that's pretty huge. So 1,200 years ago, they already had that church up there. It's amazing. And I went in there, and the priest was quite a, you know, a little pudgy, little nice man. And I spoke with him, and I said, you know, I'm trying to understand the stuff. And he was a good priest, you know, insofar as it went. A young guy. So, you know, when I say young guy, he was probably, I don't know, my age, I would guess. Maybe a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger, I don't know. But what I mean is, he was obviously raised in the Novus Orco stuff, and he went to seminary in the Novus Orco stuff. Nevertheless, he was a good priest, and he spoke very well, and we talked just, you know, about Christianity in general. I told him my concerns and so on, and he was very good in the advice he gave me and so on. But then doing further research, I realized that this guy he's one of the lost. He's one of the... his life has been, you know, we discussed our respective lives, and I've been all over the place and grew up all over and visited many countries, grew up in many cultures. And he said to me, you know, he's an Italian priest, so he said everything in Italian, of course, but he said to me, well, my life is very small compared to yours. You know, I grew up in this little village, and then they told me to come to Venice, and I came out of obedience, but I was scared, you know, I was afraid because I never left my little village, and now I'm here, and at first there was nobody, and now sometimes the Mass is still empty, you know. And we spoke about these things very openly. He's a very nice man. I really liked him. And then before I left, I gave him a brief criticism of the Novus Orco Mass, which is, you know, again, if you go to canon188.com, in the About page, there's a link there to Soda Lithium Pianum, and in there, there's all various articles, amongst which the brief criticism of the Novus Orco Mass. And after that, I guess he got a little bit offended when I gave him that, but it doesn't matter. I've planted the seed, you know, and I wasn't going to be there for a long time, so I just thought, you know, let me do what I can. But the thing is, even when I went to the Novus Orco Mass, I know that this priest's intentions were good. You know, he wasn't a bad guy. But he was lost. He didn't know what he's doing, and, you know, he didn't realize all the Vatican II stuff. He realized it peripherally. And, you know, when I gave him that criticism, he knew what I was talking about, so he's aware of it. But he obviously didn't delve very deeply in it. One of the commenters actually sent me, and I forget the name because I'm horrible with names, but he sent me a link, or he sent me the name of a reverend that discusses about leaving the Novus Orco Church. And this guy's a young guy, and he's written his story about how he's studying this, and he realized the Vatican II is a completely different religion. It's got nothing to do with Catholicism, and that's why he left, and he's now studying to form himself as a proper priest. Which I'm guessing is either with Bishop Sanborn or maybe our guys in Europe, I don't know. Some of, you know, the Catholic Church still exists. It's just a remnant. It's small. There's not many bishops, not many priests, and the formation of these guys is important. So it's good. They're out there. But the thing is, even this Novus Orco Mass, which was done by a priest that had good intentions. I never took the host, of course, because I wasn't baptized or anything, but it still had something. You know, it had something that I thought, well, you know, maybe there's something here. But then I went to see a Catholic, proper Latin Mass. And first of all, the attitude of the people was completely different. Everybody that walked in there knelt and did the sign of the cross. The respect that was given to, you know, our Lord, Jesus Christ, was of a completely different order. You know, it was magnitudes of difference. And you cannot be surrounded by that and not feel it, and not somehow get a sense of the numinous, as C.S. Lewis called it. You know, the numinous is that sensation of spiritual stuff that you can't define really. That's a brilliant word, numinous. Look it up. I might just pull it out if, yeah, I might do that in a minute. But go to a proper Latin Mass, even if you're not baptized, even if you're not a Catholic, even if you just sit there and observe. Something happens in a Catholic Mass, in a proper Latin Catholic Mass, you know, and if it doesn't happen to you the first time, go 2 or 3 times, you know, if you can, it's worth doing, because something definitely takes place. And when you start taking the Mass properly, after you're baptized, if you aren't, or if you're already baptized and you know, just check with your priest and whatever, but baptism is considered valid, you know, even done by an atheist, as long as the intention was clear. If you're not sure, you can get baptized properly. If there is some doubt, you know, so speak to your proper priest. But once you can go to a proper Holy Communion and take the host, it's a whole different experience, especially if you're catechized and you understand what taking the host means. It's like spiritual food, you know, it's supposedly, you know, transubstantiation, all that stuff, but you're essentially taking on a part of God that through the Holy Communion, like, cleanses you. And it's true, and you've got confession before it, and then you've got the Mass, and it's an amazing thing. You know, after you've gone to like 3-4 Masses, you're a different person. It really does have a deep effect on you, and a positive effect, invariably a positive effect. So something's got to be going on there, you know, and it doesn't matter if you know all the spiritual stuff behind it, all the divinity behind it. Most people that went to Mass throughout the history of the Catholic Church probably didn't know all the details, but they believed, and they did their best to be good Catholics, and they created Christendom, which is a pretty amazing thing. So, you know, I strongly suggest just go to one. You can't really tell what the difference is until you've done it. And I'd like the people that are listening to this that have gone to a Catholic Mass, do me a favor, write down a comment of your experience. Some of you already have, just on this video, please, just put a comment so that other people can see it, other people can understand it. Also, if you are a Catholic, please do me a favor, help out Nameless Bear. Go to the link that I'm going to put at the bottom of this. Throw in a couple of bucks. It doesn't matter if it's $1, okay? There's 1,000 of you subscribing. If every one of you puts $1, that's $1,000. And I'm doing this because Nameless Bear asked me. Dain Cook, that's his real name. And he's taking all this on himself. He's already, you know, paid for the flights. He's booked the hotel. He's booked the room where this is going to happen. And he's doing it out of raw faith. So if you're just a bear and maybe you're interested, maybe you're not, I kind of get it. But if you're a Catholic, that's what we're here to do. Okay, we're here to make sure that we can help each other, that we can create communities. That's Dain's whole intention, to create a good little Catholic community near where he's at. And when I say near, it's a couple of hours probably from his house, but you know, the guy's not sitting on his backside, he's doing stuff. So if you can't do as much as him, at least support him. At least support him in what he's doing. The idea is to spread the word, we're going to video the event, the book signing. He's booked the place for 3 hours. So depending on how many people we have, we're either going to do, if there's a lot of people, because the room can only hold like 20, 30 people max, I think. If there's a lot of people, we'll do 3 sessions of 1 hour maybe, so that like new people can come in. If there's only like 20 or 30 of you, fine. We can do the whole 3 hours and do a Q&A, random, sort of whatever happens. There will be a Q&A regardless of the pattern. But, that's what we're doing. We're doing a get-together here in December. I've started to get a list of people to sign up for that. So if you're going to be in London in December between the 20th and the 22nd, come to the Mass on the 22nd. That's going to be Holy Mass for Christmas. And on the 21st, probably, we were going to have a sort of a get-together of like Q&A to our priest, a really good priest, the guy who baptized me, the guy who confirmed me, the guy who was also at our wedding. So he's a really good priest. I really like him very much. And if you're in London, join up, And if you're watching this and you know of other people that might be interested, send them the video. get them a link, share it, spread it. That's the whole point. Remember, we're taking back ground. Catholics, we don't sit on our backsides. We're not stagnating. We're not defensive. We go on the offense. Take back ground from the Novus Orco fake church. Take back ground. And, do not live in a spirit of despair or fear or anything like that. We're not given to a spirit of fear. We're Christians, Catholics. And again, I'll just show this to you one little last time. So that's basically it. If you want to stop watching here, that's fine. I'm going to pull out my Oxford English Dictionary and look up numinous, because it's an awesome word. So let's see. Just give me 1 sec. Right. Now, you have to understand that I've got a really high-tech setup here where my microphone is held up in part by one of my folding knives. So I'm gonna have to hold this down here. So NU, where are we? Nowhere. And Y. And N. That's an odd word. Numulary. I don't even know what that means. What is that? Numular. See, this is what happens to me since I'm a kid. I open a dictionary and I see numeri. Okay, well, I'll have to find out that later. Numeri. I'm sorry, my curiosity is getting the better of me. Pertaining or relating to money or coinage. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I should have known that. Anyway, numinous. Let's see if this was used. Numismatic we have. Numinal. So it must have been a word coined by C.S. Lewis. Numen. Divine. Oh, well, not really. So numinal is divine. And, oh, no, it is here. Sorry, my apologies. I missed it. So numinous and numinously, and then it gives you the examples of, so numinous is numinously is the adverb, and it gives examples where it was used in 1647 ward. The will of a king is very numinous. It had a kind of vast universality in it. And in 1650 another guy used it as, they shall prove such Jupiters as to fall a thundering and lightning so numinously over our heads. Very elaborate English, but beautiful as well. So there you go. Numinous was certainly in use since the 17th and 16th century. Good to know. I love these books. I just wish I had more time to just sit there and read them cover to cover, honestly. Okay, that's it. Quite a short one for today, but again, just in case you wanted to see the little book of how to serve the low mass, there it is. And please help out our friend Dain Cook, also known as Nameless Bear. Throw a couple of bucks at him. If you're a Catholic, help him out. It's not about me. It's not about helping me out. I'm gonna be fine. I just don't want him to be the only one that's like putting his hand in his pocket and going through all this trouble. So do us a favor, be good to your brother Catholic. Thank you and good night.